not a resolution. What is it called? What is it?
I don't even know what you're talking about,
I
bro.
don't understand.
Uh,
He knows what he's talking about.
The intro.
no. Not a resolution. We need closure. Closure.
Yes, most def.
Yeah. We need closure.
Yep. So what do you mean by that?
We need a happy ending to
Got it.
Starla's story.
All right. Sounds
You'll
good.
tie it up. Yeah?
Huh? We'll let Chaz do it since, you know, he's...
I'm tired.
Come on. Chad.
as a listener over
Come on,
these
shit. Come
past 4 weeks.
All right. All right.
For
We're going to have a really happy ending.
yeah, we're gonna have you.
So, we got 27 minutes, yeah? So, the song, remember how long the song is? Because after the song, then we have to do...
Song is about 5 minutes.
Okay, so that means that
You can turn it off. We've already played that one.
That's true. We can fade it out.
we
Yeah.
can fade it out.
Just really
Yeah.
yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Let's do this thing.
Okay.
Woo! Woke me up right there. Aloha Hawaii. Buenas tardes, Hawaii. Welcome back to In Case You Missed It. Bienvenidos una vez más a Si Acaso Te Lo Perdiste. You're listening to Hawaii's only Spanish-English bilingual broadcast. Usted está escuchando el único programa bilingüe en inglés y español en Hawaii. This is Pastor Dan Gonzalez of Ohana Life Church with Technical Director Chaz Ontai. Soy Pastor Daniel González de Iglesia Ohana Vida junto con Director Técnico Chaz Ontai. Spanish speakers are the fastest growing demographic in Hawaii, and Salem Media and I are happy to meet the spiritual needs of this ever-growing population. Latinos son el grupo que está creciendo más rápido en Hawaii, y todos en Salem Media están contentos de suplir las necesidades espirituales de este pueblo creciente. English speakers are the largest demographic in Hawaii, and I am happy to bring you the Word of God today, just in case you missed it at your local church today for whatever reason. Hay más gente que habla inglés que cualquier otro idioma en Hawaii, y también estoy contento de traerlos a todos los que hablan inglés la palabra de Dios en esta tarde, por si acaso te lo perdiste en tu iglesia local hoy. The title of today's message is Turn Your Mess into a Message. El mensaje de hoy lleva por título Transforma tu prueba a un testimonio. Before I get into the message today, I would like to thank Alejandro's Mexican Food in Kalihi for sponsoring our program. Antes de comenzar el mensaje hoy, quiero dar gracias a Alejandro's Mexican Food in Kalihi por patrocinar nuestro mensaje de hoy. Alejandro's Mexican Food is located at 2831 Kalihi Street, Honolulu, 96819. And that address is important because at the end of the program, you're going to have to know that address. You can also reach Alejandro's Mexican Food or find them at multilatinfoods.com. That's multilatinfoods.com. También puede encontrar en el internet Alejandro's Mexican Food en multilatinfoods.com. Or if you would like to call in your order, you can call Alejandro's at 808-777-0038. También pueden llamar a Alejandro's para ordenar su comida a 808-777-0038. All right, well, I cannot believe that it's been 6 weeks, Sister Starla. Or 5 weeks. How long?
5.
5. It's been 5 weeks. That's why I couldn't believe it was 6 weeks, because it's only been 5.
That's why.
But seriously, it just went by so fast. It's been over a month since you've been here. So what do you think of Hawaii?
I'm loving Hawaii. It's gonna be so hard to leave. I have to be honest. It's gonna be difficult to leave. I didn't really expect that or anticipate that.
Come on, are you serious?
Definitely.
I didn't think it would be hard to leave
I
paradise.
didn't. Not as hard as it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And more than the island itself or the surrounding beauty out here,
Mhm.
is the people I've met. So many amazing and incredible people who, whether in a small way or a great way, have touched my life. I think that's
So what you're
amazing.
saying is, how do I say goodbye?
Pretty much. Yeah.
To what we had. All right.
It's too soon. We got 2 more days. Then you can sing that. You gotta take me to the airport.
All right. So I don't want to take too much time away from the program today because I really want everyone to get a good grasp of your story. And I know there's a lot of questions out there. Once again, we want to dedicate this final message to all of our LGBTQ listeners and all of family and friends who have, or family and friends of our LGBTQ listeners. So I want to get right into it today, right away. I mean, once again, I don't know if I remember. I don't remember if I said today that Sister Starla represents Embracing Hope Ministry in Colorado. No sé si me acuerdo si dije que la hermana Starla está representando Embracing Hope, el ministerio Embracing Hope Colorado o en Abrazar Esperanza de Colorado. Y ella va a estar con nosotros hasta el fin del programa. So again, Christopher Yuan, author of the book Out of a Far Country, he said the opposite of gay isn't straight, the opposite of gay is holy. And I expanded on that thought saying the opposite of lesbian isn't straight, the opposite of lesbian is holy. The opposite of bisexual, the opposite of transgender, the opposite of queer is not straight, it's holy. And also for all of our straight people, the opposite of having multiple straight sex partners is not monogamy. The opposite of having multiple straight sex partners is holiness. Yuan also said that unconditional love doesn't mean unconditional approval of my behavior. And so we saw that even though your family did not approve of your behavior, they still showed you unconditional love. And you knew they didn't approve of your behavior. Yet they loved you and treated you with unconditional love. Now, what I want to talk about today, or what I would like for you to talk about today, actually, is the transformational turning point in your life. How did you go from where you were to reconciling with God to reaching out in ministry? And I think all of our listeners would love it if you could just share with us how your lifestyle came to a climactic change, if we can say. Please feel free.
Yeah.
The next however many minutes we have left, 18 minutes
Yeah,
or
like
so,
2 hours.
They're totally yours.
Yeah. It started with a breaking point, my rock bottom. And looking back over my life, you would think, or one would think, that there were many breaking points and rock bottoms. And there were, but there's always that one that's just shatters your entire world. And as I've mentioned before on other broadcasts, I have or had been involved with a woman for several years, a very committed relationship that I was completely invested into and gave everything else the backseat, regarding that. And when I realized that this woman involved was not willing to invest as much, the commitment or relocating or even marriage or whatever, the first time it was difficult to process. So I gave it about a year, a little bit more time. We were found in the same crossroad in our relationship of taking things to the next level as far as actually establishing a life together. And the same response I got from her was that she was not willing to make that sacrifice or commitment at the expense of losing her family, who was basically threatening her to make alternative decisions in her life regarding our relationship, or they would remove themselves.
Disown her. They would
Right.
disown her.
Right. So the second time around, of course, I was hurt, but I was very upset at the same time, and kind of then realized that I had the option of going in this pattern, in this cycle, and calling it a relationship, or getting out. And of course, getting out is not always the easiest thing to do, especially when you're in so deep.
Mm-hmm.
So I have mentioned before also on this show that it's hard to imagine me taking things further than I had already taken them in regard to reckless living or abuse of alcohol, abuse of anything I could get my hands on. I had no real limitations before that point. So after this, to go beyond and become more extreme with it seems unimaginable, but I did. I had no regard for life as I knew it then, and found somebody to kind of fill in the time being, the
Emptiness.
the emptiness, the gap. She lived about an hour south of Denver, and I think what attracted us to one another was we both knew we were broken people, and so we filled that void for each other. Being fully aware that it was toxic, being aware that it was broken. However, at that point in time for both of us, it was enough. I think that was comfort for us. A lot of bad decisions, a lot of stories that I could share. Some I've shared with you where I literally was close to death several times. Hanging out with this girl, and these scenes flash through my mind, and it just reiterates that God is real, and that God does protect us, that God does watch over us, even when we are not perhaps thinking of Him. This was in 2007, after a very specific incident with this individual. Kind of shook up my entire world and being, and I was driving home one night, and for the first time in years, I knew I had to talk to God.
Well, tell us really briefly, if you can tell us, in about a minute, what led to that point where you're like, I just got to talk to God?
It involved a car chase, which, it makes me kind of laugh, because now when I think about it, it's pretty humorous. You see that on TV. At the time, it was anything but funny, and it could have ended very badly, so I had a crazy ex-girlfriend pretty much trying to probably kill me if she could have.
Your crazy ex or her crazy ex?
Hers.
Her crazy ex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She
You're
was-
crazy
she- So she was chasing you in her car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the scene. It's almost it is embarrassing. It's an embarrassing scene to be part of. You don't want to, but it happened.
And so after that happened,
After that, I was extremely shook up, and it kind of served to show me in a deeper sense that I was in a head-on collision with life itself. If you don't get out now, this is going to go really bad. Driving home to Denver, I was terrified for my life. I was getting threats, text messages, phone calls from both people in this other city and also back in Denver waiting for me. And my only option was to call on Jesus. And the only thing I could tell him over and over was, this is not my life. I didn't know anything else but that this is not my life. Like, this is not what you want for my life. And instantaneously, I felt him. And I knew that he was there in a way that I've never knew him before. And so vile, so dirty, so lost, so broken, so far away from who I used to be, as far as a church girl, who I used to be as the little girl in the choir, the little girl who used to know his voice and worship him, so far off from being that person, and yet he was willing to show up and be that God to me that I needed in that moment. And for the first time in years, I felt that presence. For the first time in years, I spoke in tongues. For the first time in years, I remembered, the power of the name of Jesus. And it did something to me. It changed something within me. I do believe I've shared before about the nickname Since, what that means in my life, but it stems from that actual moment, that car ride home. And since then, I've never been the same. That doesn't mean that it happened from that night to the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken 7 years and counting, like I've explained to you, but something broke on that drive home, and it's been a journey. You know, am I where I want to be? No. You know, not just in regard to my sexuality, but even as a musician, even as an artist. We should always strive to be better, you know, especially with the things of God.
Well, speaking of the things of God, you know, I remember you mentioned something about how you had that experience with God in the car, but that experience with church was a lot different.
Yeah.
How was that? And I want parents and loved ones to to hear this.
Trying to go back to the church that I left from was like climbing up a mountain with no limbs, no arms or no legs. You know, that's what comes to mind. Unfortunately, not everyone in our church settings is there to help you. You know, and conversely, which is even more unfortunate, sometimes when you're down, they'll kick you when you're down. You know, and I had pretty much every label of what I was doing, of what I was involved with, just drawn all over me. There was no hiding who I was or what I was doing, and people didn't make it easier. I would get to church sometimes, make it to the front door, see my mom on the other side of the glass, and I would just break down and have to leave. I couldn't go in, you know. We hear church names, Church of Refuge, Church of Healing, but are we really being
A refuge.
these things to people who are broken and in need? And I honestly, you know, God knew what I needed, and He knew the perfect way to bring that healing and to begin to establish that in my life. And a small church about 2.5 hours away from Denver came into the picture. They opened up their doors to me. Their ladies group welcomed me and embraced me, and I'm looking at your notes right here. Unconditional love, that is what I felt from these people. They didn't care. They didn't care about the details or the mess of my life, but they simply loved. And that's why I emphasize, aside from a parental love and a family love that is so vital, just love for other people. Whether they're your family or not, whether they're your kids or not, love conquers all. Love is the remedy. And I found that for the first probably 2.5 years of trying to come back to God and making those little steps, those crawling even. 2.5 hours away is where God took me.
They say a church that's alive is worth the drive. And
It's
so for
beautiful
you,
drive. It's
God,
cool.
yeah, no kidding, right? But I can imagine that, you know, you felt that the love of God was alive in that church, and
Absolutely.
it was worth it for you.
Absolutely. And to this day, that church, they have seen firsthand my transformation.
Tell me how the pastor treated you.
The pastor.
What did he see, and how did he treat you?
It makes a big difference when people look you in the eye. And that pastor showed me that respect. That's the respect he gave me. I'd show up looking like a guy, but he wasn't bothered by that. You know, he demonstrated that love, and he was patient with my progress. And every time I was there, soon after I kind of became, you know, an unofficial member. He said, "Here's the piano. Here's a mic." You know.
Wow.
Every time I'd go, even, you know, just
Wow.
sing. Are you going to sing today?
Wow.
And not a lot of pastors
No.
would be willing to go there,
Very few.
but he was. And not just him, but also the ladies president of Colorado, you know, of our churches, of our organization. She's seen my imperfection, but she was willing to utilize my potential and give me a place to begin to let God build my ministry and pull out this voice and use my hands on the piano. And again, and not a lot of people in church are open
Mm-hmm.
to that, and it makes a huge difference, because had they not done that, I wouldn't be here. And I know I say that often, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
People who are led by God, who demonstrate that love of God, are essential into this process of transformation in my life.
So, man, I think it's so beautiful, Starla, to see God working in your life, and to see you allowing God to just take you from where you were to where you belong, and to do it without any fear. And so many people that don't even have never even had a single trial in their lives are so afraid of just letting God take them to places that they're not comfortable with. And why are you so comfortable with this?
I haven't always been. I mean,
Okay.
and actually seeing some of the videos that we've been recording, I know myself. So when I'm like, it's not always easy to talk about, but I am willing, because I told God several years ago that I wanted to be the person for others that I never had.
Mm.
I never had anyone stand up and say, I lived my life as a lesbian, or I had issues with sexuality. Let me give you this map.
Right.
I kind of was in the dark trying to find my way,
Mm-hmm.
and God got me through that. God equipped me. And I'll even say that my parents never had that help.
Right.
They carried that burden of having a gay daughter for years.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can be realistic, in church, that's a cloak of dishonor and
Mm-hmm.
shame,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how it's viewed.
Yes.
And it's sad
Right.
that's the stereotypical result.
Yeah. It's like the scarlet letter almost.
Right.
Yeah.
So figuring it out as I go. But
Yeah.
for other people who come into my pathway, and several have come, whether they're struggling, whether they are gay, whether they are married, whether they are gay and they don't want to be straight.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason they come to me, I am open to that friendship and to that relationship with them, because I know what it's like to walk that road alone, and I don't want that for anyone.
Beautiful. So people who would like to contact you through your blog, is that the best way, or a good way?
Through the website, yeah, starlajmontoya.com. There is an email available there. That I have blogs where I share some stories a bit more in detail on Facebook, but go to my website.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in, Sister Starla. We're going to miss you so much.
I'll be back.
I know you'll be back,
Yeah.
and I know when you'll be back.
This
And
guy.
you're going to be back for a lot longer time next time, because you just can't leave paradise. Like the eagle said, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. I'm just kidding. That sounds too freaky. We might
That
want
sounded a little bit
we might want to edit that out there, Chaz. Anyway, Sister Starla, go ahead and tell us about the song we're going to play right now.
This song, for those of you who have been following us these past 5 weeks, we played it the very first day, Cerca de Ti, one of my favorite songs, and I wanted to end with how we started. So for everyone who needs encouragement, just stay close to God, and He'll get you through it.
Amen. es todo mi anhelar. Si tú me ayudas, yo podré llegar. Mirarte un día es todo mi anhelar. Sister Starla, oh Lord, I don't know how to say goodbye, but for all of our listeners who would like a free copy of Sister Starla's CD, only one is going to get it? Yes? Okay. One of you are going to win Starla CD's Starla CD since then. All you got to do is go into Alejandro's Mexican Food in Kalihi and mention Starla Montoya. What do you want them to say? Since then? No, they might forget that. Just say Starla
That'll
Montoya.
work.
All right,
Yeah.
say Starla Montoya when you go into put your order at Alejandro's Mexican Kitchen, which is located at 2831 Kalihi Street, Honolulu. Para todos los que quieren un CD gratis de Hermana Starla, la primera persona que entra a Alejandro's Mexican Food en 2831 Kalihi Street en Honolulu, nada más tiene que decir Starla Montoya and you will get her CD for free. So get over there ASAP. First one in there at Alejandro's Mexican Food at 2831 Kalihi Street. Say Starla Montoya and you will get an awesome CD. Thank you so much for listening, Hawaii. I love you. Gracias, Hawaii, por escucharnos. Los amo a todos. Yo podré llegar, mirarte un día, es todo mi anhelar. Yo podré llegar, mirarte un día, es todo mi anhelar.
What does that mean?
Kairos. It means Kairos.
It means time to fly.
Oh,
Kairos.
you go, girl.
Why you acting all? Do it. Do it.
I will never be the same.
Why you acting all crazy?
You need to record that song you did with that one dude. Is it on here?
No.
Girl, why not? How many songs have you recorded that are not on a CD?
I think like 4, but one's not even worth it.
What do you never
Well, I
know,
mean-
girl. You never know. You can never say that about a song.
Well, I mean, it's recorded. It wasn't even like mixed or nothing.
But still, you just
Is that still
don't
going?
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Life are so
Let me fix my hair since that's what I do on the
letting
show.
God take
Oh.
them to
Yes.
places that they're not comfortable.
Aloha.
Why are you so comfortable with this?